You are standing in the office kitchen. You're just staring at the coffee machine, watching it drip, willing it to go faster.
Right, the longest wait of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And suddenly the door swings open. Your colleague walks in. And there it is. 5 excruciating seconds of complete heavy silence.
Ugh, yes, we all know that feeling.
The fluorescent lights are buzzing overhead. And you just absolutely freeze. I mean, you might offer this tight, panicked little smile, or maybe mumble a barely audible one-word greeting.
Or you suddenly pretend that a promotional email on your phone is the most fascinating document you have ever read in your entire life.
Oh, totally. We have all been there.
It is the universal moment of professional panic. And it's completely agonizing, especially when you feel the pressure of performing in a language that isn't your native tongue.
Exactly. And instead of just giving you a quick laugh about it and moving on, we're actually holding on to that feeling today. We're doing a deep dive into the hidden psychology of that exact kitchen standoff.
Yeah, we've got this fascinating stack of notes on American and British workplace culture to unpack.
We do. And this is custom tailored for non-native English speakers who are already fluent, who are highly skilled,
Yeah.
but who might be, flying blind when it comes to the unwritten invisible rules of corporate interaction.
Because navigating that agonizing kitchen silence, it isn't just a matter of being extroverted.
No, not at all.
It is a highly specific, learned career skill. So let's unpack this misconception right out of the gate.
Yeah, let's do it.
A lot of professionals, particularly those coming from cultures where communication is strictly utilitarian, they view small talk as a frustrating waste of time.
Right. They see it as this annoying, meaningless fluff you just have to tolerate before the real work begins.
Which is a completely logical perspective to hold. Honestly, if your cultural baseline says that business is strictly about efficiency and output,
Sure, that goes.
but in American and British workplace cultures, clinging to that perspective will actively sabotage your career progression.
Wait, actively sabotage.
Yes. In those environments, small talk is never just filler. It is a highly strategic tool. If you view it as a meaningless chore, the interaction will always feel stiff and awkward. You really have to understand the why before the how makes any sense.
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate here, though. Why do these specific cultures insist on filling every pocket of silence? I mean, if we're walking into a meeting with a strict 30-minute agenda and a massive list of deliverables...
Right, the clock is ticking.
Yeah. Isn't small talk actively hurting our productivity?
Mm-hmm.
We're literally burning expensive corporate minutes talking about someone's hiking trip instead of reviewing the quarterly numbers.
Well, it creates the illusion of a delay, but functionally, it actually acts as an accelerator.
Interesting. How so?
Professionals in the US and the UK, they rarely jump straight into hard business because they unconsciously use that initial chatter to test the waters and build trust. It's a rapid demonstration of emotional intelligence.
So it's like a soft launch for the meeting.
Exactly. First impressions and, frankly, long-term professional reputations, they are almost never forged when you are clicking through a PowerPoint slide. They are forged in the 3 minutes before the presentation actually starts.
While everyone is like dialing into the conference call or shuffling their chairs.
You got it.
That reminds me of the warm-up stretch before a heavy workout.
Okay.
If you walk into a gym, skip the stretching, and immediately try to deadlift your maximum weight, you are going to pull a muscle.
Oh, for sure. You'll hurt yourself.
In the corporate world, if you walk into a high-stakes meeting and immediately demand deliverables without running through a quick social warm-up, you risk pulling a professional muscle. You create this jarring, uncomfortable friction that actually makes the ensuing collaboration much harder.
That is the perfect way to look at it. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, small talk fundamentally acts as a professional safety net.
A safety net.
Yeah. It isn't about being the loudest or the funniest or even the friendliest person in the room. In business, things go wrong constantly, right?
Oh, all the time. The projector won't connect.
Exactly. The projector won't connect, or you're waiting awkwardly for the senior vice president to finally join the video call.
The worst.
There will always be dead air. And knowing how to fill that space smoothly prevents the room from descending into tension.
I see. So it's about control.
It is. You establish yourself as a professional who projects quiet confidence, someone who can literally manage the emotional temperature of the room. Managers and clients absolutely notice who makes them feel comfortable when things stall.
The emotional thermostat? I like that. That is a very powerful position to hold.
It really is.
But that brings us right back to the immediate, terrifying question of the coffee machine.
Right, the kitchen standoff.
Now that we know we have to do it to build that trust, what on earth do we actually talk about to avoid freezing up? Because our sources outline 5 reliable safe harbors for conversation.
Yes, the 5 topics.
But looking at this list, they don't seem like they belong in a strict sequence. They feel more like an interconnected web of options. Yeah, you weave in and out of them depending on the situation.
Okay, well, let's start with the absolute most universal safety net, the weekend.
Ah, yes. The
Yeah.
weekend is your golden ticket. It requires zero inside knowledge of the other person's life.
Which is great when you barely know them.
Exactly. On Mondays and Tuesdays, you look backward. You just say, did you do anything fun this weekend? Or did you manage to get outside? The weather was great.
Simple enough.
And then on Thursdays and Fridays, you look forward. Any big plans for the weekend? It is entirely predictable, which is what makes it so incredibly safe.
But what if your weekend was, like, objectively terrible? Or just completely uneventful?
What do you mean?
Well, sometimes my entire weekend consists of doing 3 loads of laundry, paying bills, and falling asleep on the couch at 8 p.m. If a colleague asks about my weekend, do I lie? Do I invent a kayaking trip just to play the game?
Oh, absolutely not. And you definitely shouldn't overshare the misery of doing chores either.
So what's the move?
You pivot. You reframe the mundane into a positive. You simply say something like, honestly, I had the most relaxing weekend, which was exactly what I needed to recharge.
Oh, I like that. It sounds intentional.
Right. The strategy here isn't to provide a documentary of your Saturday. The strategy is to give a concise, positive, 2-sentence answer and then immediately turn the focus back to them.
Okay, but let's say their weekend was also a total bust, and that thread of conversation completely dies after 10 seconds.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for the coffee. You need a fail-safe pivot to keep the interaction alive, and according to the research, the most reliable pivot is food.
Yes, food. Because everyone eats.
Exactly.
Food is fantastic as a conversational bridge. It is deeply cultural, highly engaging, but it remains entirely low stakes.
So how do we bring it up naturally?
You can easily pivot by saying, I'm already thinking about lunch. Have you tried that new Thai place down the street?
Okay, that's easy.
Or if you're literally standing at the coffee machine, you just gesture to your mug and say, man, I've been on a serious coffee kick this week. I think I'm drinking way too much of this stuff.
I use that one all the time, actually. But I had to push back on food being universally safe, though.
Really? Why?
Well, what if I enthusiastically recommend a famous local steakhouse to my colleague, and it turns out they are a strict, ethically driven vegan?
Oh, yikes.
Right. Doesn't bringing up a giant plate of meat create the exact kind of awkward friction we are actively trying to avoid?
That is a very sharp observation. Yeah, that could be bad.
So how do we avoid that landmine?
The key to using food as a safe harbor is to keep it broad.
Yeah.
Focus on shared, localized experiences rather than specific, polarizing dietary choices.
Give me an example.
Instead of pitching a specific heavy meal, you ask about the culture of food around your office. Like, are there any hidden gem coffee shops around here? Or, I'm trying to break out of my usual lunch routine. Do you have any go-to spots?
Ah, so you're asking for their recommendations.
Oh, exactly. You are asking for their expertise, which flatters them, while completely avoiding assumptions about their personal diet.
Okay, that makes it much safer. Now, if the lunch conversation stalls out, the next pivot point the research suggests is shared media. So, white TV, sports, or news.
Yes. Things like, did you catch the game last night? Or are you watching that new sci-fi show everyone's talking about?
But the operative word highlighted in all these notes is light.
Intentionally light. You are looking for mass appeal touchstones. You want to completely avoid divisive tribal sports rivalries, especially intense international ones.
Right, keep it friendly.
And you never, ever touch politically charged documentaries or controversial news. You are aiming for the cultural equivalent of elevator music.
Elevator music.
Yeah, pleasant, widely recognized, and emotionally neutral.
But honestly, what if you just don't watch popular TV? What if you don't follow sports at all? If pop culture fails, can't we just fall back on the one thing we definitively have in common?
Which?
The work itself. I mean, we are standing in an office, after all. That's topic number 4.
You can absolutely pivot to work, but this requires extreme caution.
Why? We work together.
True, but asking about a project shows professional engagement only if done right. You might say, how's the new software rollout coming along? Or, did you see the update on the Johnson account? The danger here is tone.
Tone?
Yes. You must keep your tone fiercely curious and supportive.
Because if your tone shifts even slightly, you suddenly sound like an auditor.
Exactly.
Nobody wants an ambush performance review while they were waiting for the microwave.
Hmm.
If you aggressively ask, "Where are we on the quarterly numbers?" you instantly destroy the light, collaborative vibe.
You trigger their defensive professional instincts. You are checking in, not checking up.
Checking in, not checking up. That's a great rule of thumb.
There's a...
Which naturally leads us to the final, ultimate fallback. Topic 5. When the weekend is dead, when food is irrelevant, when pop culture draws a blank and work feels too stressful, you look up at the sky.
Yes, you talk about the weather and the seasons.
Okay, I have to stop us here. Isn't talking about the weather the ultimate embarrassing cliche?
I know, it sounds like it.
I mean, if I walk up to a senior director and say, "Can you believe how hot it's been?" Doesn't that immediately brand me as a boring, unimaginative person with nothing valuable to say?
It feels cliche, yes. But in the psychology of small talk, the weather is actually a brilliant strategic equalizer.
Really? An equalizer?
Think about the mechanics of it. It requires absolute zero background knowledge. You don't need to know their dietary restrictions, their television preferences, or their project deadlines.
That's true.
The weather is a completely shared reality in that exact fleeting moment. It serves as the perfect low-stakes vehicle to build rapport.
Let's focus on that concept of rapport for a second because it's so central to this whole deep dive.
It is the core goal.
We aren't talking about becoming best friends. We're talking about building that invisible bridge of trust that makes a colleague actually want to collaborate with you.
Exactly. When you complain together about a brutal, rainy commute, the weather isn't actually the point of the conversation.
Right.
The weather is just the excuse you are using to say, we are both humans experiencing the exact same frustrating environment right now, and we are in this together.
Wow. It creates instant, frictionless solidarity.
Perfectly said.
So we have our interconnected web of safety, the weekend, broad food questions, light pop culture, supportive work check-ins, and the shared environment of the weather.
The 5 safe harbors.
Knowing those safe harbors naturally illuminates the landmines. What are the topics that will instantly detonate that delicate bridge of trust we just spent 3 minutes building?
Right, the danger zones. In Western corporate cultures, these are fiercely guarded. The absolute non-negotiables are salary and compensation. Never ask what someone makes.
Of course.
Politics, religion, and any form of negative office gossip are also completely off limits.
Yeah, that's pretty standard advice everywhere. But where non-native speakers often stumble, according to the notes, is the cultural disconnect around personal relationships and health.
This is a huge trap for a lot of international professionals.
Right. Because in many cultures, say, across Latin America, the Middle East, or parts of Asia, asking about someone's family, their spouse, or their parents' health is considered the baseline of politeness.
It's expected.
Yeah, it shows that you care about them as a whole person, not just a corporate drone. But here, the sources explicitly flag asking about marriage or children as a massive danger zone early on. Why the disconnect?
It really comes down to Anglo-corporate individualism versus collective cultural values. In American and British workplaces, there is a rigid, invisible wall between the professional self and the private self.
Interesting.
So if you ask a colleague you barely know, "Are you married?" or "How is your mother's health?" you are suddenly hurtling over that wall.
Even if you mean well.
Exactly. To you, it feels like warmth and respect, but to them, it feels like an aggressive invasion of privacy. You're forcing them to navigate personal disclosures in a space where they only want to be evaluated on their professional output.
So how do you handle it? Just
Yeah.
never talk about family.
You let them volunteer that information first. If they mention their kids, the door is open, you can ask about them. If they don't, you never pry.
That makes so much sense when you frame it as a boundary issue rather than a lack of friendliness. But looking at the rest of these landmines, there is one that totally caught me off guard.
Oh, which one?
The notes call it the busy trap. You're supposed to actively avoid complaining about how tired, stressed, or busy you are.
Yes, this is a very common mistake.
But in so many intense corporate cultures, being busy is basically worn as a badge of honor. It's almost a competitive sport.
Oh, totally. I'm so slammed, I'm swamped.
Exactly. I only slept 4 hours. I have back-to-back meetings all week. Why on earth should we hide that? Doesn't broadcasting our stress prove to our managers that we are incredibly hard workers?
Well, it feels like it should project dedication, but psychologically, it signals something else entirely to the listener.
Wait, really? What does it signal?
Constant talk about being stressed or overwhelmed doesn't make you look like a corporate hero. It actually signals systemic overwhelm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When you tell a colleague or a client how incredibly exhausted and busy you are, they do not think, wow, what a dedicated employee. They subtly, unconsciously start to wonder if you lack time management skills.
No way.
Or worse, if you are buckling under the pressure.
Wow. So by trying to prove my worth and my hustle, I am accidentally telling my manager that I am drowning and shouldn't be trusted with the next big, high-profile project.
Exactly. It's an enormous professional cost for a careless piece of kitchen small talk.
That's wild.
It is a massive cost. Furthermore, it completely kills the positive energy of the interaction. If I ask how you are and you unload a heavy sigh and talk about your crushing workload, you make me feel like I am burdening you just by existing in your presence.
Right. It creates guilt, not rapport.
You always want to project calm capability, even if your inbox is currently on fire.
Oh, okay. So let's say we've successfully picked a safe topic. We went with the weekend. We've navigated away from the danger zones. We aren't asking about their marriage, and we certainly aren't complaining about our inbox.
Perfect.
But the conversation can still die a very quick, painful death. How do you keep the ball in the air without the interaction turning into a relentless interrogation?
This is the exact friction point where a lot of non-native speakers freeze. They are so focused on answering the question accurately that they just deliver the data, close their mouths, and the silence instantly returns.
Yeah, the one-word answer.
Right. To fix this, behavioral psychologists suggest a really elegant algorithm. It is the three-part response formula.
The three-part response formula. Okay, what is it?
Step 1, respond directly to what they said. Step 2, add one sentence about yourself. Step 3, ask a related follow-up question.
Let's break down the mechanics of this because it feels a lot like passing a hot potato.
Yeah, hot potato.
Yeah, if someone throws you a conversational hot potato, you can't just catch it and hold on to it. That's a dead end, like just answering yes or no.
Right. The game stops.
But you also can't just instantly throw it back at their face without absorbing it. That feels like an aggressive police interrogation. Just question after question.
Exactly.
You have to catch it, cool it off by adding a little bit of your own flavor, and then smoothly pass it back.
I love that visual. And what's fascinating here is how this specific formula completely removes the cognitive burden from the speaker.
Because it's just a system.
Yes, you do not have to be naturally charismatic. You don't have to be a brilliant comedian. You literally just run the behavioral algorithm. Let's look at the example in the research. Let's say your colleague says, I went hiking this weekend. Absolutely loved it.
Right. If I just say, oh, nice, the potato drops on the floor, the conversation is dead.
In the water.
But if I run the algorithm, I start with step 1, the direct response. Oh, nice. I validate their statement.
Yep.
Then step 2, I add one sentence of my own flavor. I haven't gone hiking in ages. I usually just end up walking around the city.
And then step 3.
Then step 3, I pass it back with a follow-up. Where did you go? I'd love to find a good spot near here.
Do you see how perfectly that balances the exchange?
It really does.
That shared piece of yourself, step 2, is the crucial cooling mechanism. If you only ask rapid-fire questions without volunteering any information about your own life, you seem evasive and intense.
Like you're interrogating them.
Right. By offering a tiny glimpse into your own habits, you establish vulnerability and trust before asking them to speak again. It creates a self-sustaining, reliable loop.
Okay, so we've run the algorithm. We've kept the potato moving smoothly. But eventually the coffee finishes brewing. The meeting is about to start.
The dreaded exit.
Yes. We have to get out of the small talk. And honestly, escaping without making it feel like a rejection is often where people panic and make things deeply awkward.
How do we pull the ripcord safely? You need a graceful exit. The research provides some highly effective standardized phrases for this. You can say, anyway, I should let you get back to it. Or, we should probably get started, lots to cover today. Or simply, okay, I'll let you go, see you in the meeting.
Just simple and direct.
And the crucial physical cue here is that you must always end with a warm closer. You smile, break eye contact to signal movement, and say, good to see you.
I have a massive problem with one of those phrases, though.
Uh-oh, which one?
Let's say we are both just standing by the kitchen counter. We both know neither of us is doing anything urgent. We are literally waiting for the microwave.
Okay, a classic scenario.
If I say, I should let you get back to it, doesn't that sound like a totally fake, transparent excuse? Won't they know I'm just trying to escape them?
It might feel entirely fake to you, but you have to understand the function of a transition in this cultural context.
Okay, explain that to me.
A transition isn't about objective truth. It's about shifting the social gears smoothly. Saying, I should let you get back to it, isn't a lie. It is a polite social fiction.
A polite social fiction, meaning we both know it's not strictly true, but we both agree to pretend it is to save face.
Exactly. In professional English, this phrase is the ultimate gesture of respect. It gives both parties permission to disengage without anyone feeling slighted or rejected.
That's fascinating.
You aren't bluntly saying, I want to stop talking to you now. You're saying, I value your professional time so highly that I refuse to hold you up any longer. It provides a dignified exit ramp for everyone involved.
That reframing completely changes how that phrase feels. It isn't an escape hatch you're using selfishly. It is a courteous release you are offering them.
Precisely.
Now, to prove that these aren't just isolated academic theories, we need to see how they flow together in the wild. Let's take all of this right back to that agonizing office kitchen scenario from our introduction.
No, I'm ready.
Let's run the dialogue exactly as it's written in the notes, and then we'll break down the psychological shifts. I'll be the person getting coffee, you be the colleague walking in. Ready?
Let's do it. So I walk in, morning, big day today with the client presentation.
Yeah, fingers crossed it goes well. Did you have a good weekend?
Pretty good. Finally tried that new ramen place on 5th. Have you been?
Not yet. Is it worth the hype?
Honestly, yes. The broth was incredible. Anyway, we should probably head to the conference room.
Good idea. Let's go. Okay, let's pull that apart like commentators. It is literally a 30-second interaction, but structurally, it is a masterpiece of social navigation.
It really is.
The colleague walks in and immediately uses the work environment to break the ice.
Yeah.
They bridge the silence, but they keep it supportive. Big day with the presentation.
Right. They don't ask for a status update on the slides. They just acknowledge the shared stress. And then notice your pivot. You run the first 2 steps of the algorithm beautifully. You validate the work comment, fingers crossed, and then you immediately deploy the ultimate safe harbor to pull the conversation away from work stress. Did you have a good weekend?
And did you feel how the tension just completely evaporated the second the ramen place was brought up? By mentioning food, you handed us a mutual escape hatch. We don't have to talk about the daunting presentation anymore.
Exactly. We are just 2 people discussing noodles.
And you ran the algorithm right back at me. You answered my weekend question, dropped the ramen detail about yourself, and asked if I'd been.
And you absorbed it, showed enthusiasm, and passed the potato right back. Is it worth the hype? We established a complete cycle of rapport.
But the most critical moment is the exit. As soon as the natural lull hits, the transition is deployed. The broth was incredible. Anyway, we should probably head to the conference room.
Yes, the word anyway is magic here. It acts as the clutch, shifting the gears out of small talk and back into professional momentum.
No awkward lingering, no fake excuses, just a seamless, dignified pivot to the next task.
It is incredibly seamless. In 30 seconds, the ultimate goal was accomplished. Shared humanity was established.
And both people are now primed and emotionally regulated for a collaborative meeting. Those dreaded 5 seconds of kitchen silence were completely neutralized without anyone overstepping a single cultural boundary.
That is the beauty of treating this as a system rather than some innate talent you either have or you don't.
Speaking of the system, before we wrap up, let's do a really quick vocabulary recap for our listeners, just to cement the core concepts from the notes.
Great idea.
We talked about the need to break the ice.
Right. Which simply means doing something to start a conversation in a new or awkward situation to relieve tension, like speaking up in that quiet kitchen.
And the primary goal of breaking the ice is to build rapport.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rapport is that friendly, trusting relationship we talked about. It's the invisible bridge between you and a colleague that makes collaboration possible.
And finally, we discussed the transition.
Which is that polite social fiction. It's the standard phrase, like using the word anyway, that respectfully shifts the gears out of small talk and allows both people to get back to work without feeling rejected.
So what does this all mean for you, the non-native speaker trying to navigate and climb the corporate ladder?
It's a game changer.
It means that mastering small talk in an English-speaking professional environment has absolutely nothing to do with having a dictionary-perfect vocabulary. It certainly isn't about forcing yourself to be the life of the party or a stand-up comedian.
Thank goodness.
Right. It is about understanding and executing a very predictable, highly polite behavioral structure that makes everyone in the room feel comfortable, respected, and valued.
I want to leave you with a challenge, something to really observe in your own workplace this week.
Oh, I love a good challenge.
Now that you have the blueprint, now that you see the invisible rules of small talk, Start watching your native-speaking colleagues closely.
Yes, pay attention to them.
Watch them in those 3 minutes before a massive Zoom call begins, or while waiting for the elevator. You will suddenly realize they aren't improvising.
Not at all.
You will hear them running the exact 3-part algorithm we just discussed. You will catch them retreating to the safe harbors of the weather or the weekend when things get tense.
You'll hear the, anyway, I should let you get back to it, transition deployed constantly.
It is not some natural, effortless magic that they were born with. It is a learned, rehearsed professional skill. And because it is merely a learned skill, it means you can absolutely master it too.
It really is like seeing the Matrix once you know what to look for. You will never unhear that 3-part formula again.
Never.
Now, we want to turn this back over to you. What is your absolute go-to small talk opener at work? When you're caught in that kitchen silence, what is that one phrase you rely on that always seems to break the tension perfectly?
We want to know.
Drop it in the comments. We want to build a master list of the absolute best field-tested phrases from our listeners. Because the next time you were standing by that coffee machine, staring at the drip, and the door swings open, you aren't going to freeze.
Not anymore.
You'll know exactly how to catch the potato, add your spin, and keep the interaction alive.